küresel sosyal gastronomi hareketi öncüsü Gastromotiva'nın kurucusu David HERTZ'i sahneye aldı.
Merhaba. In 2017, 2 years ago in January, I was in Zurich on my way to Davos with 2 chefs from Zurich to do catering in Davos at the World Economic Forum. But as we were doing the menu, we started seeing those horrible pictures from Aleppo, from the children, and we started to say, what's going on? It made us aware of the situation, and it connected to us. What can we use our experience to alleviate and bring hope to people that are in need in those situations? I have worked in slums in Brazil. I have worked with prisons. I work with homeless people. I work with a shelter for transsexuals close to our restaurant, but I never thought of working with refugees. And in Brazil, we have now refugees from Venezuela, from Africa, from Haiti. So what can I do? And we decided, we had a food truck, this dream of going to Davos. And what about going from Davos to Aleppo? Thank you. Stopping, collecting food, and cooking at camps. And what I learned from that moment, we were not ready. We needed to understand more. And I put my intentions to go to visit a camp and see how those people live, how our people live. This week, it was a dream to me. I made my intentions, I'm learning. I want to thank the Hebrew that took us to a refugee camp to cook with a few of the women who live in those places. We're going to see here something. To the World Food Program who allowed me to be in a house of a refugee and to understand how children are being affected. And also to the Life Project yesterday who we cooked together. So I see a world changing very fast. It's separating us to ourselves, us to the others. We are in a time that we are living with fear. We exclude a lot of humans from their basic needs, from food, bringing hunger, housing, malnutrition. These are basic needs that we all have, and once you enter a house, you see the burning. But table is our bridge. We as chefs, as cooks, we cook to interact and we serve. We serve so others can have pleasure. I live to build bridges. I'm a pilgrim. I travel all over the world to meet people because I love stories. And I like to meet projects, to get projects together. Food connects us all. But what about gastronomy? Food is a big part of our lives, or it should be. It comforts our heart. It connects to our soul. It's linked to our identity, to our traditions, to our beliefs. It awakens our senses. It connects us to ourselves. It connects us to nature. Food touches the rich and the poor, the tourist and the immigrant, the one who are living in the street and the one who are living in condos. I have witnesses for the last 15 years that I've been working with social gastronomy, how cooking together, how providing training, we can bring empathy, admiration, and understanding of our needs. We are convinced we are a network in the world nowadays, and as much as we cook for life, we're convinced that social enterprises and social entrepreneurship can really help to alleviate this problem, this complex challenge. It's a complex tool. For those students that are here, we need to learn so much. It brings us organization, discipline, and we have to use those tools in order to change the world. We can use this to include people. But gastronomy, if we see at history, especially in Brazil, we started to look at the French gastronomy, all the amazing plates, the details, and we need that. We need that for innovation, we need that for learning, for teaching, for eating good food. We have the best restaurants in the world, and those chefs that got there, and a lot of them are my friends, I really deep respect how much effort there and their team makes the best menu. But this, for the longest time, has been elitist and undemocratic. And now social gastronomy comes as a response on how can we use all of this to really say this complex challenge, how can we really change that game? Last year, I went to New York to the UNGA. It's a week in New York where every presidents are convening. They are talking about the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. And I went there to attend a session. And let me read for you. Breaking the cycles between conflict and hunger, working towards a sustainable peace and zero hunger. It condemns the use of hunger as a weapon of war and calls on humanitarian works to have safe and free access to civilians in armed situations. What I didn't know is that currently 60% of the people who live in hunger come from conflict zones, out of 850 million around the world. In my country, Brazil, we waste food in the world, the numbers of food waste are so high. And today, nowadays, we know that we lose 1/3 of all the food produced. So in Brazil, we have 7 million people living with hunger, but we produce food for 25 million. What I didn't mention about the UN is that today is recognized by this 2417 resolution by the Security Council, and these give us, for social gastronomers, social entrepreneurs, a way to partner with our governments, with our bilateral agencies, in order to do this systematic change that none of us can do by ourselves. We also outsource for business, we outsource for government, but this is a humanitarian issue. But who am I? Why am I here? First of all, I lived in fear of my life. I was really afraid to be who I am. And for that, I didn't think I was worth in doing any profession. But I knew how to cook. I traveled for 7 years and I fell in love with spices, which I'm looking forward to cook with the ones I bought it here. And from that on, I went to a kitchen when still there was no schools in Brazil. And I took part in the first culinary program. And because I was already 28, I didn't want to waste any time. I managed to work every day. And after I worked in a very amazing restaurant, I asked myself, what am I doing? It couldn't be possible that I travel all over the world, that connect to so many people. And the response came a month later. I went to a slum, a place that most of the Brazilians never dared to go because of the violence and probably the absence of the state. But I met good people. I met this one girl who now runs a catering, and at that time she used to live inside the kitchen with her mom, living in a completely social exclusion, and I got inspired. So we started this organization together, Gastromotiva, which now runs different projects on training. We work in 4 countries, in Mexico, South Africa, Brazil. We have trained more than 5,000 people and get jobs to them, and accelerated 300 small businesses. In El Salvador, we work with the World Food Program, which now we aim to replicate around the world, inshallah here. I want to show you a special project that we did in Brazil as a legacy of the Olympics. This is Refeitório Gastromotiva. This is a place in Rio, in Lapa, that we cook only with food surplus, those ingredients that are non-manipulated. It's a cooking school for kids and young people from the favelas, and every night we celebrate life. We do a 3-course meal, like in a restaurant, a high-end restaurant, and we serve homeless people. And we did this with Massimo Bottura. I guess everyone knows who's Massimo here. And he became the chef #1. So social gastronomy, that moment, like everyone at the Olympics wanted to talk to us. These are the communities I belong, where I get my recharge, where I get out of my social gastronomy day and I see chefs, and not chefs, but entrepreneurs and business people from all over the world. And it's where I feel belonging. It's where I feel that I'm learning, where I provide and I can expand my mind. And this is what was my dream 5 years ago, to build a community. And we built social gastronomy. I guess everyone can understand that it's about social inclusion, but each region has its own face. In this community, we have women from the Middle East that are being trained in Saudi Arabia. We have young people in Cambodia, young girls who have been abused. We have black people from Brazil. So you can imagine how does this work in your city, in your country, in your place. So food for us is a tool. It's not a means. And the spirit of our community is from the heart. We've been doing this alone too many times. And the only way we can scale and multiply is doing together. We don't compete. We don't look at our projects. We're not selling projects in this community. But we are different stakeholders. We have to get out of the gastronomy scene. We have to meet presidents of companies. We work with ministers. The Minister of Education of Argentina is part of our network. The Minister of Trade, of Tourism, the ex-minister, she went to one of our summits and she said that was a life-changing summit for us. So this is our network. And allow me to introduce, the sound.
Addressing the local community needs, we have that ability at a very local level. And then we have the ability to scale that up and be part of the movement, right? And so that we can continue to impact. It's like an accordion, right? When narrative and change is needed at the global level, we can step in and step up and talk about that. And then we can drive those realities at the local level. And so then it creates this beautiful accordion of a movement. And so we're very much a relevant participant, but we're not the only participant.
So this is the spirit. Deborah is the Vice President of Cargill for Global International Relations and Communications. And her team all over the world is making sure we are bringing social gastronomy. About Turkey, I met Semre, I think many people know her, and she said, I'm gonna bring this to Turkey 5 years ago. We are not ready, both of us. And then some people from the movement starting to come here, Johanna Mendelssohn, our co-creator Patrick, and he met Aisha, who I want her to come to the stage, and I think she deserves a round of applause, please, from everyone. I didn't know Aisha until this morning, but I trust so much what Patrick told me about her, and I think one thing is me talking here, but I never lived in exclusion. I had all the possibilities in my life. So I want Aisha to share why social gastronomy is in Turkey, what should be here.
Öncelikle hoş geldiniz diyeyim veya ben hoş geldim. Sizlere de hoş geldiniz diyeyim. Bakan Bey dedi ki ne sokak, evsiz. Açlık dediniz, çöpten almak değil. Atığı katık yapmaksa sokakta yaşayan insanlara iş, aş, yaşam dediğim bir projem var. Kendim de evsizdim. Hayata Sarı Lokantası. Şu anda 5. personelim bende evsiz çalışıyor. Ama amaç burada o evsizi 6 ay bende çalıştırdıktan sonra sokağa atmak mı? Hayır. Örneğin şu andaki son personelim Arda Türkmen'de çalışacak. Ona o şansı biz verdik, biz geri almayız. Ben şunu diyorum, toplumda 38 bin, İstanbul gibi şehirde 14 ayda 38 bin tabak evsize yemek çıkartan tek ve tek proje Hayata Sarı Lokantası. Ben oradayım, herkes de oraya beklerim.
I guess a lot of people know Ebru. Ebru, please come to the stage. I didn't know Ebru, but because she knew I was coming here, she said, do you want to visit my city, Mardin? But I knew about her project, and I wanted to see. I knew it was the opportunity to put my intention in Davos on the run. And three things I got of this. First, she's committed. She would die for any of those women that I saw. Thank you.
Thank you too.
And she's connected. She doesn't want to do this alone. That's the spirit. So to all of you, the message that I want to share, first for the students, we're going to talk today so much about social gastronomy, gastrodiplomacy, but first, go find your calling. Go cook. Be authentic. This was my calling. I think everyone has the right to do that. And if you want to do something social, it's a plus. Don't try to do something social before you try to find yourself. So what I talk here is about love, empathy, hope, and inclusiveness mindset towards a human-centered movement. You can be the change. With our business, we feed people. We can learn from governments, governments can learn from us. You can scale. We can bring the innovation. We can bring the people because they trust us. They trust us because we are people and we look into their eyes. So, for me, as you know, I'm a pilgrim, there is no border. Welcome to this global table. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here in Turkey.